okay, kinakasod. Akong desktop, nakasod, nag-una. Pero akong cellphone, kasi bubaya. So how's everybody doing today? Okay, good to hear. So guys, I have already checked your prelim examination since last week, and based on the result, guys, nobody get the perfect score. However, like 80% of the class got 34. The rest got 33, 32, and there's only one below 30. But majority of the class is actually at 34, which is 80. I think it's 80% of the class is at 34. Okay, so you're almost got it. Okay, so congratulations for the job well done. Okay, so daghan mo kayo, but let me just mention for those people who got almost perfect. Okay, so we have Erica, we have John Del, Rico J, Eric, we have Tracy, Jamaica, Donna, Nicole, and Reina Lynn, Giselle. We have also Different Princess, Joanna, Kate, Angelica also got 34. Wani, Margaret also got 34. So with Melvin, Gia, Angelica, Yancy, almost perfect. Jesseriel, Mary Antoinette, Marielle, Mary Ann, and Jerome. So see, almost everybody got perfect, almost perfect on the prelim examination. And as what I have mentioned, guys, since it is a new topic that you have, a topic that is a coverage for your prelim examination. So the part 2, which is multiple choice, and the part 3, which is enumeration, I also took it as your quiz. Okay. So for the prelim examination, guys, or the prelim period, what I have for you is your your project, which is the 5S, 6S, and the 5R. Your VMGO assignment, the activity that we had, the one activity that we had, also the quiz that we have, which is about 20 points, and the 2 quiz that I got from your prelim examination, which is the part 3 and part 2, and your prelim exam, okay, together with your attendance. So that's a total of 8 items to compute with your so that's a total of 8 items that will be part of the computation for your prelim examinations. And I have here already your prelim grade, actually. So, wala gini siya, guys. So, basta na hindi ko yung makompute, guys. Diretsoon dyan na ako i-compute. I don't want to wait for another examination. So, what we can do for this period, we need to finish everything, and what we will be doing then for the midterm coverage, and we will also finish everything, then we will going to add that to your prelim examination, and we're going to divide it to, that will be your midterm grade. And I don't think so, guys, if I will be giving you semi-finals. Okay, so then from there, we will go directly to finals. Okay, so there. Now, for prelim examination, guys, knowing that there are already a lot of you almost got perfect on the prelim examinations. So the highest actually grade that I have here in my computations, guys, is 1.3. Okay, so that's the highest score that I have here. That's 1.3, followed by 1.4, and then 1.5. Okay, so on the third spot, guys, and in the grade, let me just announce the top 3. Okay, so the people who got 1.5, 1.3, and 1.4. So on the third spot, guys, in the top 3 at 1.5 are the following. We have Bustilio John Dale, is 1.5, and I think he's the only one who got 1.5. Okay, that's on the duha. Okay, duha di ay. It's Bustilio, Jandel, and Jendi Siha. Okay, And then at 1.4, guys, we have on the top two, we have Darwin, Batukan, and then we have also Eric Angelo, Tracy Shane, and then who else? Margaret Irwani. Margaret is also at 1.4. Dia Erica is at 1.4. And then Frenchy Lee is at 1.4. Okay, that's on top two. And on the top one, guys, at 1.3, there are many. And it starts with Rico J, followed by Jamaica Marie, Donna Marie, Nicole Ann, Rinel Lynn, Giselle, Devrelette, Princess Anne, Joanna Key, Melvin, Nick, Angelica, Jezreel May, Mary Antoinette, Marielle, Chu, Mary Ann, and Jerome Villanueva. So those are on the top one, guys, with the Kantay sila. So if you actually aims to be part of those graduates with honor, guys, or with magna cum laude, flying with colors. Okay, so please sustain your grades. Okay. Anyway, the rest of you guys is at 1.7, 1.6. Okay, so I have only like a few, like one or two. Just one or two who has the grade below or above 2.0. Below, when we say above 2.0, guys, it means 2.0 to 2.1, blah blah blah. Okay, but the equivalent of that is actually lower. Okay, bagi matapareha sa si IT nga kung dako kag grado, dako jud 5 mo na ilaha ato kay lahi man. Okay, so there ato kay nagsugod man ta sa 1, sila nagsugod sa 5. So mo sa na ilang grading system. Okay, so awesome job, guys. Thank you so much for giving everything that we need in order to compute. So you deserve a pat on your back. Okay, so virtual clap everyone for that amazing job. So please sustain that with your midterm coverage. Okay, so pretty much sure after midterm I will also do your midterm grade, and then lastly will be your final grade after final examination. Okay, so Maradash, guys, those are the information that we had for your output for your prelim period. So we'll proceed with our discussion. Okay, so in our discussion, guys, I might have a review, beginning of my slide to be a review, since we will be moving on to the control system and pneumatic devices. So we will going to refresh our knowledge first regarding those actuations, the methods of actuations, the valves, the positions, and everything. And I will also introduce you to the symbols. Okay, the symbols that you need to understand so that you can getting to in moving forward in reading those schematic diagram, kibaw na mo kung saan pagbasa po if makamaw na ta sa mga symbols. Okay, so we will be also tackling the direct and indirect direct and indirect what you call this. Direct actuations and indirect actuations of the cylinders, guys. So remember the cylinders, the two cylinders that we have, the single acting and the double acting cylinders. Okay, so there. So we will going to have discuss the methods of actuations, review on the valves. Okay, kaya mo maguni ang gamit sa padung na sa reading sa mga schematic diagram, guys. So still basic, but then again it's needed. So that's why I need to introduce you on that. And anyway, for this topic or for this week, it's also part of our discussions regarding the different types, or the what you call this, pneumatic controls, okay, the control, so you need to understand those direct and indirect control of pneumatic cylinders, okay, before we will going to have a constructions of pneumatic controls. So in our Google Classroom also, guys, I have already posted there the PowerPoint presentations, and together with the video, since we don't have a chance to have our laboratory sa main campus para makasubay mo, makagunit on how to do the direct and indirect acting actuations for the cylinders, either a single or double cylinder. So we need to just present you the video, and pretty much sure, guys, those equipments that you see on the videos, those are the equipments that we have on our laboratory in the main campus. Okay? So same ra na siya, guys. Inyo ra gina siyang itusok-tusok, inyo ra i-display. So the board is similar. All the materials are similar. So if you're going to watch that video, please do, so that you will know how it is done using the direct and indirect control of cylinders. Okay? So let me proceed with my discussions here. Don't worry, I don't have that much. Okay, kaya nga ni maganda siya is more on the laboratory. So, dili kay siya inong daghan mo istorya. So, this is actually more on the presentations and how you will understand things in terms of the symbols. Okay, so there. So, Martina, if you're sharing sa desktop, let me see if I can continue guys. Wala pa siya nakita sa ako cellphone. Do you see my screen na, guys?
Wala pa, miss.
Okay, so pareho na. Let me just do it in my cell phone. It's okay, so ano lang ko share screen sa akong cellphone, guys. Okay, there you go. So here, okay, so control system and pneumatic devices. Okay. So let me start with the directional control valves. So if you remember the valves that we have discussed before then, so I don't know if you remember it already since we have a lot of subject, okay, so napadod to pneumatics, okay, then we will meet once in a week, every Friday, so for the weeks that pass by, and I know that you are familiar already with the boxes that you see here, okay. So, in terms of the methods of operation, so when you see a box, guys, in terms of the boxes that you see there, so valve switching position are represented by the square, okay? So this is now, okay, ang trabaho mo ni valve, guys, is asag dapita padung asag dapita mo shift, ariba sa, remember the 2/2, the 5/2, the 5/3. Okay, those are the positions that we had. Okay? Now, so any valve switching, guys, that will represent by a square. And the number of square shows how many switching position. Okay? So switching position, it could be 2 or 3 or 1. Okay? Now, the lines inside the square, guys, okay, I will give you a schematic diagram, and then you need to label what are those symbols that you see in the schematic diagram para you will understand. So if you already know, if you're already familiar with the symbols, with the labels, then pretty much sure dali ra makita. Yes. May nag-raise sa hands. Any questions mga langga?
Wala ang share screen.
Ano, wala akong share screen. Okay, thank you. Basta ka. Okay, so cut me off guys ha. If ever kaya ako, sige rin, yung gusto rin ito langga. Ang diretso rin ko. Okay? So there. So it is very important, guys. Let me know if it's already okay, ha? Then cut me off if may problema. So there. So the lines inside the square, guys, that indicates the flow path. Okay? So ang indicator na asa madulong, asa maguna, let's say first step, second, third, or fourth, depende sa valve na ato ang gigamit. Okay? So meaning guys, ang valve ang nag-upot kung asa padulong ang pressure sa air going to the output which is on our cylinder. Okay, so later on as we go on with our slides, you will understand everything. Okay, so the lines indicate that is closed. If you see here a vertical line, vertical ba na guys, horizontal, o vertical again, okay? So kanina. So once you see this type here, so that indicates that that is normally closed. Napagyan ko na yung screen guys, no? Nakita agad mo, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the connection outside the box, guys. So this is the one here. So this will proceed either to the cylinder or either to the compressor. Okay, so that's the way of knowing how we're going to connect this valve to a output or to a input or any other working actuators. Okay, there. And then this is the one that I mentioned a while ago, guys, the directional control valves. Okay, so here you see here 2/2. So 2 here represents the number of ports and 2 is the number of position. So ports, guys, so that determine the box. Okay, and for the number of position, so from normally closed to normally open. So from here, ayan, 1, 2. Okay, so that is the position. Okay, the position of the valve. So these are actually the 2/2, the 3/2 until the last topic we have. So just a refresher of what we have discussed regarding pneumatic valves. Okay, so if you see guys, so this is the actual pneumatic valves when you're going to use a 2/2 way directional control valve that starts with normally open. Okay. Now, this is also an example, guys. So, if you notice, guys, usara jud diri ra gid sa lanan diha. Okay? Now, for the 3/2 way directional control valve normally closed, guys, so this is how it look like. Okay? So, naagi na involved, guys. So, later on, you will see that naagi na siya mga manual nga kanang say ani pushing of connections, like the push button. Okay? So you see here guys, the one in red here, this is the manual push button. So kung imo na siya i-on, nakasud na ang air ana, but once you push it, that's the time nga adto na siya sa direction unsa yung buhaton from 1, 2, and 3. Okay? There. So siya ang nasa switching guys, the switching na part. Okay? So directional control valve guys for the 4/2 way direction. Okay? So mo na siya. This is an example. Okay? So kana siya, pwede na siya i-mount na to guys. Depende sa gamit sa ato ang process na atong i-apply yan ani. Okay? So we have also the 5/2 and the 5/3. Okay? So we have there, those are the examples of a pneumatic. So dagko siya tanawon guys, pero if you're going to see that in actual, gagmay na siya mo nang sa mechatronics, naka-mount ra na siya sa ilahang wall. Dayon ilara na silang isumpay-sumpay through using the wires. Okay, wire na nila para unsaon pagpaandar sa mga cylinders using single acting cylinder or a double acting cylinder. Okay. Now, how to read numbering system. So, for numbering system, guys, we have in directional control valve. So, we have here. Okay, so later on, you will also see the symbols and signs. Okay, so this one represents for the solenoid A and solenoid B. So, you have here directions. You will know what is A, B, P, and the T. Okay. Now, here. So, this is an example. So, this is how it looks using this equipment here. So, muna siya iyahang gamit. Okay? So, this is the diagram. Okay, what's inside on this equipment. Okay? Using the 5/2 valve. Okay? So, if you're going to check in the numbering system, guys, using the it's already set in an ISO standard number system. When you say 1, guys, that represents letter P, and that port connection is for pressure port. Okay? So if this is 1 here, so that is the start. So this is the P here. So that is for the pressure. Okay? So ana na to i-connect ang atong wire gikan sa compressor, sa air compressor padung ana nga position. Okay? So you notice also, guys, here sa ato ang kani siya, sa ato ang 5/2 nga valve nga gigamit, there it also labeled there. Okay? Asa dapita ang 1, okay? Ang ato ang pressure, atong input, okay? Ang atong output padung sa working machine. So the 2 and 4, guys, that's A and B, that is for working lines. Okay? So 2 and 4, that is for a working lines. See here? So it's the A and B. Okay? So working lines, guys, and that means this is where we're going to connect the working actuators or the machine that we will be using. Okay? For this particular valve. Now, when you say also the 3 and the 5, guys, that represents RS, and that is the exhaust port. Okay? So 3 and 5, so it's already exhaust port, and that means once they are already there, so from 2, then it will be going to 3. That means the job has been done already, and then going to 4, which is also back to working, and then rested to 5. Okay? So that means the 3 and the 5, guys, muna siya ang mga exhaust. Bitawag sa exhaust port. After nila gitrabaho ang ilahang mga kinahanglan trabaho o nga nakakonect sa port 2 and 4, then that means they need to be mura siya in terms mas atua pa, guys, mga panahon manabaho ta exhausted kay kastan lang gikapulta. Okay? So muna siya ang releasing nila nga pressure para in terms of working and doing those needed na device na nakakonect sa working lines. Okay. Now for the pilot lines, guys, so that represents the signal. So 10 represents Z, and 12 represent YZ, and 14 represents Z. Now for the examples that we have here, we are using 14. So this is the signal that we're using for. This is the pilot lines that we're using. We're using pilot lines Z. Okay? So these are the pneumatic control components and symbols. Okay? So here. Wala na kung na-update. Ayan. Wait a guys na. Wala na kung na-update ang name. Ano niya? Wait. Dara sa guys ha. So this is like the motor, okay? And this is like the filter. Business ako nakalimutan mo. Saan siya nag-face lang yan? Wala na ako na-bilang ko. And this two here, guys, this is the two pressure valve. Okay? So the one is the using the shuttle valve. So this is the shuttle valve here. This one used for the shuttle valve. And the other one here, this is for the this one is for the cylinder valve. Now this two here, kalimutan niya. I wasn't able to remember. But then again, guys, we'll get back to these components lang. We'll just update those slides here on the one that I have uploaded in the Google Classroom. Okay, so wala din ako siya na update ay ang iyang now sa ating mga gamit. So, I have actually checked this last night, but wala din ako nakuha. But don't worry, we'll just park this and we'll get back to this na lang for the pneumatic symbols. Okay? So for the two pressure valve, guys, so it has an input A and input B, and then the output Y. So this is like similar to a series switch. Okay? So dili na siya magawas ang output if none of the input is 1. Okay? Kung sa logic gate pa na nato, guys, okay, sa logic gate pa na nato i-understand, it is considered as the AND gate. Okay, now tayo ka gates, AND of OR. So we need to make sure nga we need to have 1 to 1 value in order to get the output. Okay? So mo na siya, yung presentation niya AND gate. Okay, this is the AND gate, and I'm using the AND gate truth table. Okay? So meaning using this particular two pressure value, you need to make sure that input A is on and input B is also on to activate or to have the output working. Okay? So wala siya. So and this is only be working if all of the input is 1. So if one of the input is 0 or not, it's not acting, so therefore we will not be getting the expected output. Okay? Using the AND gate. So AND gate is wala siya multiplication ba? 1 times 1, 1. 1 times 0, 0. 0 times 1, 0. 0 times 0, 0. Okay? But for the shuttle valve, guys, this one, so this look like a parallel switch. Okay? So meaning, if this is 0, then that means it can still connect to the output. Now, if this is also 0 and this is 1, then it's still going to the output. Okay? So using the OR, okay, the OR gate. Okay, so the plus. Okay? So 0 plus 0, 0, and any of the input, guys, either A or B is on, then the output is 1. Okay? So the output is working. Dara guys. Okay, so for the pneumatic component symbol, so this is the flow control value. Okay, dara there. Okay, so flow control valve. So this is the flow control valve. So this is where if you're going to see this in the schematic diagram, guys, later on after any discussion, next meeting we will be introducing you on how we're going to read the schematic diagrams and how we're going to label it so that we can understand. Okay, so if you're going to see this symbol, this represents the flow control valve. Okay, now this one here is a one-way flow control valve. Okay, so it depends. So you can see here it has two output, one here and here. Now this one represents the compressor, or could be the motor compressor. Okay, and this one is the filter. Okay, and the this symbol here represents the quick exhaust valve. And this one, if you take a look, this is the pressure gauge symbol. And you have here the air reservoir. And you can see here the check valve. And then the pressure regulator. Okay? So next meeting, guys, we will be seeing a schematic diagram, and we're going to check all those symbols there and label it, and then we're going to check the flow of the working device. Okay. Now for the methods of actuation, guys, it could be a spring type or a solenoid. So depende. Okay. So solenoid, matuyok man gyapon na siya, guys, but it is electronically driven. Okay. Now it could be a spring, like the spring that like for example with the singular acting actuators that they're using for swing. Ang spring is good for one way, ramang good siya one way. Once it's on diretso na gid siya og kanang trabaho. Okay? Di pareha sa kanang mo na siyang gigamit sa single acting cylinder, pero sa double acting cylinder, guys, they are two input, the push and the pull. Okay? So mo nang wala kanang kasagaran gamit niya kay mga solenoid. Now we have also lever and also the push button. So this is for the directional control valves. And we have also pilot and rollers. So later on, you will see everything of those symbols in a schematic diagram, and you're going to read those, what is necessary for that schematic that we will be showing next week. Okay. Now, for controlling a pneumatic cylinder, guys, and controlling pneumatic cylinders, this can be controlled with the following methods. One is the direct control of single or double acting cylinder. We have also the indirect control of cylinder with single pilot final control valve. We have also an indirect control of cylinder with a double piloted final control valve. So the indirect control actuations, a pilot signal from a 3/2 NCC, guys. So 3/2 is another valve, okay? NC valve, okay? So it's used to actuate pilot ports for final control valve, okay? So either we're going to use another port or another valve, okay? Or one valve, depende lang, as long as we are using the direct or indirect control. Now, for direct actuations of cylinders, guys, for single acting cylinders, it performs only in one direction position. Okay? So remember, guys, na spring type cylinders, usara na siya yung output, padura yun siya gawas. Usara po na iyang connection sa ubos hole. There's only one hole to eject. Okay? Dayon, it is used for return position via spring, a spring siya, and air supply port using the vent hole. And it is using a 3/2 wave valve. Okay? So, ang single acting cylinders for direct actuation, guys, is using a 3/2 wave valve. So, 3 working ports and 2 switching, and manually actuated with spring return. So, kinahanglan siya i-push to return the manually actuated man. So kung ito siyang mga nakita ninyo sa actuators na itong ipakita ganina, guys, na yung mga push button switch. Now for the double acting cylinder, it performs work in both directions. So it has 2 air supply ports for pull and the push. So nasa duha ka air supply. And it is using a 5/2 wave valve. So 5 working ports and 2 switching. However, manually actuated with spring return. So this is how it looks like, guys, for the, okay? So if you notice, nakalahi sa single o sa double. Okay? So ang single, guys, 1 port na siya. Okay? Igura na siya mo push here. Ang double siya is nasa duha ka connection. Okay? Here. It has 2 air supply port. Okay? Para sa pabalik. Okay? Now, for the direct connection, the direct actuations, guys, so if you see, it's using for the single, it's using the 3/2 and for 5/2. Okay? So, duha siya. This is the 5/3. 5/3, right? 5/2? Lahit mo lang ang example. Yeah, 5/2 din. Yes, 5/2. over 2. Okay? Duha ra ni siya guys. This one, 1 and 2. Okay? There. So using this is the valve that is used. If you notice guys, there is a presence of manual push. So if you're going to push this will what will happen. So it will from here, take a look on the blue lines here. Once it is pushed, it will directly go with the it will directly proceed with the cylinders pushing it towards the output. Okay. Now for the double acting cylinder, guys, so you can see this is normally closed here. So once it is pushed, then it will inject air there to release the cylinder. Okay, there. So that is how it look like using the single acting cylinder and the double acting cylinder. But still, it is manually driven. Okay. So muna siya guys. So from the air compressor here guys, so take a look. So once imo na siyang i-push diri, okay, once it is pushed, masulod sa dinha. Okay, once pushed, so it will open. This is the air. Another one. So once it is pushed, so na-push na siya guys. So muna siya, so actuate ra, and then it will extend the position. So mga kuan siya guys ba, like for example, imong gamiton kay kuan siya kanang naabaroy dire kanang kape or nagkape baron ana coffee grain. Yeah, mo ni siya imong ibutang dinhi ana. So naka-close siya, then open, balik siya dire. So depende sa gamit sa, for example, inyong gitrabahoan kay kanang nagpack og kape. So kaysa ikilo-kilo na nimo siya or pila ka grams isudin mo sa jar, so pwede na siya magamitan og tunnel diri. Kani siya imo i-connect din ha. Okay? So dapat that's why guys, PLC is also included with the subject because we're going to program this. I-program na to nga pila ka minutes ra siya, pila ka seconds ra siya mo open para makuha na to ang desired grams or kilograms na mutsud sa bar. Okay? So once na pila 1 second is equivalent to 10 grams. So after sa 1 or 3 seconds is equivalent to like 5 grams. 20 seconds 5 grams ha, ato lang ibutang. So ato na siya i-program sa ato ang PLC para as an in-app mo na siya ato ang process control. So ang output niya ari nas magawa sa ato ang single acting cylinder. Okay? So there, it will close here. Okay, after na sad, open. Balik na po siya 5 seconds. Another jar na sad. So nabay conveyor din nga magdagandagan nga mga nagpunog-punog sa jar. So depende ra gyud sa gamit. Okay? Depende ra sa inyong process nga inyong gamitan. Okay? So for the indirect control of cylinder guys, large cylinders as well as cylinders operating with high speed are generally actuated indirectly as a final control valve is required to handle large quantity of air. Okay? So meaning guys, for the large, for those process using indirect control cylinder, so we are not only using here one valve. So there could be like 2 valves na magdepende pa siya kay from the name itself, it indirect control. So if you're going, hindi pa rin has direct. If you're going to push the button, it will directly goes up to the cylinder and then have the cylinder work. But for the indirect, we could have like 2 valves connected here. Okay, dependent on the process that we actually applying automation. Okay, depende sa process na itong i-applyan of automation. Okay? But however, indirect controls are used for those large type of cylinders. Okay? So in the case of pilot-operated valves, signal input valve like 3/2 way NC type, either actuated manually or mechanically is used to generate a pilot signal for final control valve. Okay? So either ang duha ka valve guys parallel siya Pero ang usa ra yung actuated manually. So when we say actuated is pagpasugod, pagpadagan. Okay? So we can push one valve button manually and the other valve will be mechanically actuated. Okay? Using the porting sa ato ang first valve na gigamit. Okay? So depende rin na siya sa program. Okay? And then the signal pressures required can be around 1 to 1.5 bar. And the working pressure passing through the final control valve depends on the force requirements. It depends, it can be 4, 5, 6, or depende sa bar. Indirect control as permits processing the input signal. And single piloted valves are rarely used in applications wherein the piston has to interact immediately on taking out the setup pilot signal. So this is suitable for large single-acting cylinders. So this is how it looks like, guys. So you see, you have here a manually driven valve, and the other one, it could be connected to a mechanically driven valve. Okay? So same here on this particular picture. Okay? So if you notice here, on this part here, when we push this button here, in this schematic diagram, okay, it will go directly to the next valve, and then this valve here will going to directly open the single acting cylinder. Okay, so meaning it's still waiting for another valve, so that's why there is no direct connection to the cylinder. Okay, so this one for the single acting cylinder. So once it is pushed, the air pressure comes in, and it will electronically, it could be also pushed. It depende guys ha, kung sa gamit, pwede sa push button lang po ang PCAS valve, okay? And then it will go here, directly to the single acting actuator. Okay? There. Now, for the double acting cylinder, guys, using indirect control, so you have here the double acting cylinder, so we have the flow control check valve. Okay, so tanawang yung schematic, guys. So you will see here, you're going to label everything here. Okay, so sa sunod na lang. Okay, hindi na ito tagahanon kay libog. Maski ako malibog po. Okay, there. So 5/2 way directional valve. Okay, and then the air supply. So this is how it looks like. Okay, so you see here the two valves connected. So once it is pushed here, this is one, it will go directly to this valve. So ano siya. Duha man gud siya, guys, kay double acting man ni. So duha iyahang air port. Okay, so it could be either push, and then right, here, back, dire. So depende if it go there from this one here will push the cylinder, and this valve here will pull the cylinder. There. So for the structure of pneumatic system, guys, so we have there the single flow. So this is from top to bottom. We have also the control chain. Now for the control chain, guys, you can use either SPA principle or IPA principle. Now when you say SPA principle, guys, we are using sensors, processors, and then actuator. Okay? So meaning ang sensor ang ato ang gigamit para makuha na to ang input. Okay? Once ang sensor is makasend na siya sa ato ang decide, like for example, guys, sa mga mall nga automatic sliding door. Okay? So ang gigamit ana niya is sensor sa ubos. Okay? So if you see there is metal, ato ang metal nga ato ang tumban, that metal will going to sense, kung na-sensor na kabutang anak, nagibutang nga, makasense siya kung naabay, weight ba, either, depende sa ilaha, depende kung weight ba ang ilahang determine para to open, kung mabugatan siya, so meaning naitaw sa babaw, so mo-open ang door, do the process, and then actuate the cylinders to open the door. Okay? Now, Now, that is for SPA principle. Now, for the IPA principle, guys, which is the input, process, and output. So this is what we're going to do more on the PLC driven. Okay? So more on the programming side. So we need to have a input here for us to do the process and then to get the output. More on the set of programming na siya side, guys. Now, the energy supply that we have here is through tubing or piping. Okay, so we have the tube there that's connected. So if you notice that last time we have our discussions, we mentioned about pipelines, we mentioned about the monogram that's used in calculating the diameter of the pipeline depending on the how many pressures or force that is needed for the process to work. Okay, so this is how it look like, guys. So here, from the command, what you see on the top there is the command execution. And I get an easel. Okay, so for the command execution signal, there na siya sa outputs. Okay, so first we have the energy supply elements. So the energy supply elements, what are those? So we have compressor. We have also the pneumatic reservoir. Okay, we have also the pressure regulating valve. Okay, and then the service unit. That's for the energy supply. From the energy supply, it goes to the signal input. So what are those input elements? So we have, it could be a manual push button direction. It could also be a control valves, okay, or it could be a roller lever valves, and it could be approximately switches or air barriers, depending on what type of signal input that you're going to have. Now, from the input, it goes to the process, guys. So what's under process? You have here the directional control valves. Depende kay ang valves mo, good guys, will do the switching man asa pa doon. Okay? So bali siya gid mismo ang mo pili sa asa sa padung before siya mo activate. Okay? So you have there the shuttle valves, dual pressure valves, pressure sequence valve, and the sequence. Depende dito sa process na inyong i-automate. Okay? So depending on the process that you're going to automate, that's the time you're doing what type of process elements that you're using. And from the process, it goes to the output, so it goes to the execution command. So you have there now the cylinders, the motors, the optical indicators, or the control elements, which is directional control valves or indirectional control valves. Okay? So muna siya, guys, this is the structure. Okay? So this is the structure of pneumatic system. So magsugod dito una sa hardware, which is the energy supply. Ato mga kinahanglan mo, and those are the air needed. Okay? So in this particular manufacturing, unsa man ang ato ang i-automate ana. Okay, like for example, ato i-automate ang kato siya. It could be like the flowing of jam, pag-flow sa jam baron, packing na sa jam. Okay, so instead of naikamot sa mga tao, so we're going to machine, automate everything. So tanan na lang jam, naka-load na siya sa iyahang panel, sa iyahang nako siya yung gagalingong butanganan. Okay, then we will be using their funnels. Okay, so ang funnel, instead of push on and off na lang siya, so if we can program it, i-program na nato siya using the double acting cylinder or single acting cylinder baron. Okay, so to close and off and on, so ato siya i-determine kung ato siyang i-on, pila ka ml ang magawas in 1 seconds, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, ana. So, yeah, then we'll do the packing, then it will be go next to the ceiling, kailang pag-close, so ana siya. So, muna siya kasagaran. So, if you see, guys, so if you have given a chance sooner in your higher years, when you, before you're going to graduate, guys, so hopefully, na may inyuhang ka ng company tour so that you can see what are the different process in the industry, and you can see how automations are done in those particular process, so that you can also be familiar and you can see that you can also have an idea about the things that you have actually learned in terms of pneumatics, in terms of isa pa ng mechanical na mga subject ninyo, in terms of electrical, in terms of sa pa, computer, or sa pa yung sa inyong curriculum, guys, which I'm not familiar of. So those with the process that you will be honed with those expert nga kinahanglan ninyo mahibaw-an, expertise na kinahanglan ninyo nga mahibaw-an. So hopefully you can apply, you can see it in the industry before you will be moving out in the campus. Okay? So because that is also what we did before during our college days, during my baccalaureate degree. So we have our company tour so that we can experience. So I was able to get a chance to get inside or to visit Coca-Cola company, the bottling company. Kato sa una kay conveyor to sila, ambot lang kapron kung saan nilang gamit. Karon so katoy la kay mag-awas-awas pa ang mga spill out pa ang mga soft drinks. So I don't know how it looked like. Sa naman daron that was 2005 and today is 2021 already, so I don't know how it looked like now after 16 years. So definitely there is a lot of improvement, knowing technology is upgrading every year, so mo nang lahi na gid siguro. Okay, so there. Okay, so for the circuit diagram, guys, so we're going to identification of code of components. In this one, the circuit diagram, we're going to add this one next meeting. Okay, we're going to add that next meeting so that we will also have our activity in terms of knowing how we're going to understand symbols or putting labels on the schematic diagrams that we will be having next meeting. Okay, so that is the only discussion I have for you today, guys. Getting familiar about the indirect and direct acting sa control of the cylinders. Okay, so the direct actuations and indirect actuations of cylinders, and also getting to know about the signs and symbols in terms of the valves and actuators. Okay. So the components that we need to understand in terms of pneumatic components and symbols, for us to understand how we're going to read the schematic diagrams and how to make a design. Hopefully, guys, we get there in making a design. So upon design na to, okay? So hopefully we'll just cross our fingers, okay? There. Because honestly, to tell you, this is really a tough subject, okay? So para na po, knowing that I am not actually has an idea about pneumatics. What I only have is about PLC. But then again, everything can be learned. So there. So I don't want to feed hard nga mga fun. So anyway, in our curriculum it says there the basic pneumatics. So but we will just do the basic. We will not do the advanced thing. Let's just give it to the mechatronics. Okay, so what we will just be doing is the basic pneumatic circuit. Okay, so which we will be going to comply before we will have our midterm examinations. Okay, since sequential control and also electro-pneumatic designing is also part of the semifinals before we're going to finish everything in the finals, which is the introductions of PLC. Okay, there. So that's how it's gonna be in this subject, guys. Any questions, guys? Sa may atong mga pangutana. Do you have any questions, mga langga? Okay. Thank you, RJ. Thank you, Rina. Thank you, Frenchline. Okay, so regarding with your grades, okay, Ramo? Okay, Rami. With your scores, okay? Actually, ang inyo na gito, guys, inyo na gito mga intaong agi. Okay, ay wala dito nag-add or unsa ako na siya gi-compute. Okay? So there. So good job, everyone. Thank you for that effort. Okay? So I don't have any assignment, guys, for today. I don't have any activities to be done. I just want to thank you for coming up, okay, and showing your for today's class, okay. So that's the only discussions I have for today. And if you don't have any questions, let me proceed with your attendance, okay. Proceed na ako sa attendance, mga langga. By the way, guys, katong wala nakahibaw sa inyong grade, i-PM tamo one by one, mga langga. Then ako lang sa tamong i-mention sa atong GC, mahibong mo nga anong i-mention tamo. It's because para makasend ko og message. So I will mention you in our group chat. Dayon, ako mong sendan sa inyong prelim score and your prelim grade. Okay? Ana lang. Okay. One moment. Okay, so say something, guys, when your name is called. Yes. Okay, so Maria Erica. Ay, si Maria Erica, tapos siguro name na ay. Okay, so nakatanig siya na ay dilugong. Eliza.
Present, Miss.
Okay, thank you. Christeline.
Present, Miss.
Thank you. Darwin.
Present, Miss.
Thank you, Lord. John Del.
Present, Miss.
Thanks. Jindy.
Present, Miss.
Thank you. RJ.
Present, Miss.
Rico J. Thank you. Eric. Angelo.
Present, Miss.
Thank you. Tracy. Shane.
Present, Miss.
Okay. Jamaica Marie.
Present, Miss.
Thank you. Donna Marie.
Present, Miss.
Thank you. Nicole Ann.
Present, Miss.
Uy. Rina Lynn.
Present, Miss.
Sama kaya kung guys. Sorry tayo.